Hello and welcome to another edition of Executive Communication. My name is Dr. Michael Edmondson. This video will help you understand how to do the images, graphs, and pictures assignment for the final project. So your responsibility is to do the following. Find at least 12 images, no more than 14 though. Let's not get carried away. Find 12 images, graphs, and pictures divided accordingly. Excuse me. 2 images, 2 graphs, 2 pictures, and the remaining 6 can be any combination. For example, maybe 4 images and 2 pictures or all 6 graphs. Number each slide on the bottom right-hand side and include the source. So again, you're going to find 12 images, graphs, and pictures, not 12 of each. You do not need 36. You need 12, maximum 14. 2 images, 2 graphs, 2 pictures at a minimum. And the remaining 6 can be any combination as you wish. You will number each slide on the bottom right-hand side and include the source. What you will submit in Blackboard by the deadline, not after the deadline, but before the deadline. 12 PowerPoint slides arranged in the following manner. So 1 image, graph, or picture on each slide. Not 2 on each slide, not 3, but 1. So how are we going to do this? You're going to place the image, graph, or picture on the right-hand side of the slide, and then a 1-sentence explanation on the left. Not 2 sentences, not 3 sentences. A 1-sentence explanation of why you wish to use this image, graph, or picture. So you're going to submit 12 of these slides, 1 for each image, graph, or picture. And here's an example. Here we have on the right-hand side the image, which where it belongs, on the right-hand side of the slide. It's got a title. I just took it from another report just to give you an example here. What awaits 2014 grads in the working world? It's a comparison. There is a source. You can see the source at the bottom. And on the left is a 1-sentence explanation. You must link each image, graph, or picture to an objective. You have a variety of objectives now for your final report. You need to link the image, graph, or picture to an objective. Here's the example. This image will support Objective 1 in the trends section, which is explain how graduate expectations do not match reality, because it illustrates data on recent college graduates. So just for example, I'm writing a report about college graduates, and I have an objective that is to explain how graduate expectations do not match reality. Then this would be a good image, graph, or picture. So you would do 12 of these. Again, if you have 14 at a max, you would do 14. Right? The page number is at the bottom right-hand side. There is a source. The image is on the right. The text is on the left. How much text? 1 sentence. Can you include 2 sentences? No. Can you include 3 sentences? Nope. How many sentences should you have explaining the image, graph, and picture? 1. 1 sentence. Key point to remember. If you left your image, graph, or picture slide somewhere out in the open, someone should pick it up and be able to understand it. Even though it's going to be part of a larger report, it should stand alone. This is critical. We have to go back to what we're doing here. We're building a report that you're going to use for a foundation of a series of communication tools. This is executive communication. An executive who presents a clear, compelling, and concise statement of communication will have an image, graph, or picture that can stand alone. Yes, even if it's part of a larger report, it should stand alone. Let's look at numerous examples. Here's one of my favorite pie charts in the world. It's called the body of all possible knowledge. The smallest part is the green part, things you know. The next largest is things you realize you don't know. So we can call both of those sections your awareness. And then the biggest part of the pie, about 75% of the pie, maybe 80%. Things you don't realize you don't know. In other words, what you don't know, you don't know. It is always going to be the biggest piece of the knowledge pie. Now, this can stand alone. Now, I might put this in a report where I'm talking about the lack of knowledge, perhaps, for a given set of students. And you would put text around this. But it can stand alone. It's explanatory, just in and of itself. So a pie chart is one item you might include in your report. A Venn diagram is another. This is the purpose-driven Venn diagram. It has 4 circles: passion, mission, vocation, and profession. And where those 4 intersect, you see that star. That's identified as one's purpose. So this is a pretty powerful Venn diagram because it helps you understand the difference between passion, mission, vocation, and profession, and also how the intersection of those 4 create one's purpose. So if you just left this out on the table, someone would understand it. If you put it into your report, if it was appropriate to do so, then it would complement your report. Now, these are just examples. You shouldn't use any of these, in fact. Any of these examples probably aren't appropriate for anyone's report. These are just examples. So we had a pie chart, we had a Venn diagram, now we have a bar graph. This bar graph is taken from an actual report regarding New Jersey's occupational groups. And this is a very clear, concise, and compelling graph. It has the top 5 or largest occupational groups and the smallest 5 occupational groups in New Jersey, all on one page with the exact number. So office and administrative support, there are 652,000 jobs in New Jersey as of 2017. Farming, fishing, and forestry, 4,920. It's very clear. You can leave it out on the table. Someone would understand. Oh, these are the top 5 jobs compared to the lowest 5 jobs in terms of number of positions. Not that complicated, clearly labeled and explained. If you didn't leave the numbers on there, you'd have a problem. If you didn't explain it, you'd have a problem. But if you left this slide out somewhere, everyone would understand it. You can use tables. Tables are pretty good sometimes if it's appropriate. Here we have the hourly wage and number of positions for the lowest paying occupations, from counter attendants, shampooers, cooks, fast food, cashiers. You can see they start at $10.22 to go up to $10.85. Most of these low-paying occupations in New Jersey require very little education and experience for entry. And again, one slide, a table might be appropriate for your report. As you go through this and watch this video 2 or 3 times, ask yourself, well, do I want a pie chart? Do I need a Venn diagram? Would I like a bar graph? Would I like a table? Would I like a map? Some of you might be able to create your own map. This is, again, from an actual report. This one is very clear. Sometimes maps, when they're used, have too much information on it. You've got to be very careful not to junk up your slide. I have purposely chosen slides that are very simple to understand, very clear, very concise, very compelling. You see here, this is the employment, average salary, and number of employed by region in New Jersey. Northern region has over 2 million employed, average salary of $58,000. Central region, over 1 million employed, average salary of $55,000. Southern region, 770,000 employed, average salary of $49,000. So it's very clear. Again, you can leave this out, people would understand. So maybe a map is appropriate for you. Excuse me, maybe a timeline is appropriate. Here's a timeline that was in a report. You might want to create a very simple timeline if it's appropriate. If you're looking at something over the course of a few decades, a timeline helps people understand the highlights of the 30 or 40 years that you're trying to explain. A lot of information here. Not a big fan of it because there is a lot of text, but it may be useful. Another way of doing a timeline is like a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is where you have specific time periods. For this one, it's years, 2012 to 2018. And then you have different color shaded blocks to designate when that event took place during what time period. So, for example, evolution of online learning took place in 2013, 2014, whereas blended learning design started in 2012 and continued to the end of 2017. So decide, a timeline might be good, a Gantt chart type of timeline might be appropriate for you as well. Images such as 2x2, this is called a 2x2. Officially, it's known as the Eisenhower Decision Matrix, named after President Dwight Eisenhower, which he used all the time. And in modern parlance, it's also used for the 4D approach to email. When your emails come in, you make a decision. Do you do it, decide to schedule time to do it, delete it, or delegate it? So you do it, defer it, delete it, or delegate it. So a simple 2x2 grid might help you explain something. This grid helps you explain what's urgent and not urgent, what's important and not important. And there are hundreds of examples of 2x2 grids out there. This is one of my favorites because it's applicable to life today for email, but you might design a 2x2 grid to help illustrate one of your objectives. Remember, each of these images, graphs, and pictures have to support one of your objectives. So whether it's a timeline, a Gantt chart, a pie chart, a table, whatever the case is, make sure you have to relate it to the objective. Here's another graph. This is a stacked bar graph. This compares what the corporations and executives, how they see students, college students, and how the academic institutions see them. This is a whole different topic, but as you take a look at this stacked bar graph, and if you left it on the table, someone would clearly see, 35% of the executives and corporations believe that college students are well prepared with the appropriate skills. Meanwhile, on the academic side, 44% of the academics, the faculty, and so forth think that the students are prepared. Well, there's a big disconnect there, right? So something like this is very illustrative of an important component. So when you're choosing an image, graph, or picture, make sure, again, it's related to an objective, but also make sure that it highlights a key point you're trying to emphasize. Another image is sort of a summary one. This is from an actual report. How many learners, how many distance learners, how many organizations were involved, how many guests showed up. So something like this is very, very helpful for a summary vision of the report. Now, you might find that something like this is very useful. Now, again, you're going to customize. You're going to create most of these images, graphs, or pictures, or if it's appropriate, perhaps one already exists that you can use. But, don't limit yourself to just the examples here. Just trying to give you a flavor of what could be used for your report. In terms of actual pictures, here's an actual picture of two people that were at a conference, and they were included in a report. Now, of course, you need some text. So if this slide was found somewhere, anyone who picked up the slide would surely understand who the people were in the picture, what the event was, and what they were talking about. Again, be very clear. You might find a picture like this, or any type of standalone picture, that might just support your overall theme. One of these is okay to use. I'm not particularly fond of it, but if you find a picture that is, extremely descriptive of what you're trying to discuss, that's fine. Actually, this comes from a report discussing the lack of soft skills amongst college students. So it's an appropriate picture because here you have a young professional, college student, presenting to others, and which is a form of oral communication. And oral communication is one of the soft skills that is severely lacking, according to company executives, by college students. So this report was saying here is a young professional using his soft skills to present to others. So the picture might be appropriate. It doesn't necessarily stand on its own, but if you wanted to include a picture like that could stand alone to some degree in your report, feel free to use it. And then finally, you might be able to use a sort of a little image and then put some text around it. 57% of business leaders say soft skills are more important than hard skills. That draws the reader's eyes to it. It's one sentence. It's clear, concise, and compelling. Again, we're just harping on, you want to keep reinforcing the objectives that you're trying to convey in your report. This actually comes from the latest Accenture report. This is an excellent image. What they did here is they compared the expectations of college students who are going to graduate in 2017 versus the reality. You can see that the expectations, the text is in bright white, the reality is in a lighter gray to help the reader differentiate. 3 simple statistics on each side, not many statistics. Keep it clear, concise, and compelling. This is an excellent example of how to use an image, graph, or picture to support your objectives. So remember, you're going to find 12. At least 2 images, 2 graphs, 2 pictures. The remaining 6 can be of any combination. 14 is your max. Number each slide on the bottom right. Include the source. You're going to submit 12 PowerPoint slides arranged in the following manner. You're going to put the image on the right and a 1-sentence explanation on the left. You are going to do 1 image, graph, or picture per slide, so that's why you'll have 12 slides. And you will have 1 sentence on the left. Here's that example again, just to remind ourselves what it looks like. The image is on the right, and the information is on the left. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and contact me. And good luck with the images, graphs, and pictures assignment.